This is TWiT. Talking about VR, Harry McCracken. I've heard of him. Fast Company. Earlier this month wrote an article, what the 1994 Bill Gates keynote tells us about the Metaverse. Did Bill know about the Metaverse in 1994?
He didn't, but he spent a lot of time talking about what the next 10 years of technology would be like at that point, which were about the information superhighway. And,
so let me think. This was Windows 3.1.1, right? DOS 6.
Pre-Windows 95.
Yeah.
And at the time, he did these keynotes at Comdex, which was the big
it was a big deal.
Show.
Yeah, this was the big keynote. You'd get up early at 8 a.m. to see the keynote the day before the show began. Dvorak once edited all of Bill Gates' keynotes into gulps and just had a long, like a half an hour of him going. It was funny, but he actually took out all the meat. So what was the meat in this one?
Well, he did this in 1994. He did this particularly elaborate one, which involved him on stage, but also this pretty lavish movie that Microsoft had made, set in 2005. Which
again, I remember that.
At this point, that was a decade in the future.
Isn't that funny?
And it showed all the technology we'd be using then. We'd all be using wallet PCs, which were not smartphones, but they were rather smartphone-like. And along with giving you access to data wherever you were, people would use them like to control larger screens. So you'd be sitting in front of your TV and you'd use your wallet PC as kind of a remote control.
This was the information at your fingertips.
He showed that we'd all be getting video on demand and we'd be able to binge.
Look at that. Looks just like my Tesla.
Yes.
Wow.
Essentially, he got a lot of the broad brushstrokes pretty well. He got pretty close on the broad brushstrokes. And
now,
almost all
this was before the famous internet memo, right? Or was it right around?
This was, I think, at roughly the same time.
Okay, because for a long time, he did not think the internet was going to be.
Well, the internet and the web only come up a little bit in this discussion. He doesn't completely ignore them, but at this point, it wasn't clear whether it would be the internet that would give us the information superhighway, or it might be cable TV.
Let's go into the home of 2005, which again then was 10 years in the future. It's a nice looking house. There's Mom.
A little bit. You had your breakfast?
Oh, I remember this.
The movie is about this kid who gets.
Wait a minute, I have to. Oh no, I thought that was he was watching the TV. I didn't realize. I thought that was a background noise. He's watching the news on his iPad.
Aren't you supposed to be working on your report for world cultures? Yeah, I am. Mm-hmm. This is not it. Yeah. Turn it off.
At this point, even flat screens were kind of futuristic.
Really?
Generally speaking.
Yeah. Remember they were so big, those
did not have them in 1994.
the CRTs.
Don't even start. I have a video conference later today. They can
Look at, she just picked up her Alexa. Good morning, Mom. Oh, there's her Ecobee smart thermostat. She's
about to watch some TV.
Now she was wrong on this. Interactive TV never did take off.
Have a great evening. Thanks for watching. Good night, everybody.
She's watching last night's. Now this was a big deal in '95. Last night's Letterman.
This is pre-TiVo.
Yeah, and there's all her
shows.
Oprah. Yeah, I guess this isn't actually far off from streaming.
No, I mean we do this today, although not in exactly the way that.
The interface
showed, and it took a little bit longer for it to become.
And Oprah's no longer on, so that's another.
Confidant in person. Today, partners in cyberspace meet face to face.
And we don't call it cyberspace anymore. Thank God.
Relationship survive?
All right, let me skip ahead a little bit. What else? What else are we going to look for in our?
If you can find the wallet PCs, that was a big part of this movie.
Yeah, let me jump ahead.
The kid does this amazing multimedia presentation at school, which today would not be particularly exciting.
This is when Microsoft spent millions with pro actors and all sorts of stuff on these videos. I kind of miss these keynotes, Comdex keynotes.
Oh, I mean, people still spend millions on their
Do
keynotes.
they? Oh, here's the wallet.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the wallet PC. The kid's got it. All right, let's go back here.
For the very first time.
She's still watching. Mom's still watching Oprah, as Mom does.
We'll talk about it on today's Oprah.
It's a little sexist. Mom is not a CEO at a major Fortune 500 company, apparently. She's got lots of time
have a Zoom
to
call
watch
she
TV.
mentioned at the beginning.
Yeah. She watches a lot of TV.
2004.
All
Welcome
right.
back to CBS This Morning. I'm Harry Smith.
Good morning.
Okay,
I'm
let's
Paula
skip
Zahn.
ahead.
This
Where's
morning,
the
latest
wallet?
on the transition at the White House. We're going to be taking a close look at the president-elect's plans for the nation.
Oh, who's the president in
and learn why
2005?
She says it is
She?
It's a woman.
Yeah, no, sorry. All right, here's the. Here, wait a minute. This is a cop show now.
There's a murder mystery that's part of this.
Oh, Lord.
There's a plot.
Stolen artifacts.
There's a plot to this. Do you remember Harry sitting in the audience and seeing this?
No, I made a point of not going to Bill Gates' keynotes at that point. Although now, of course, I wish that I had.
Wish you had. The only reason to go at the time really was these movies.
But I discovered this once it came up on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, tell me about the Wallet PC. Is it like a smartphone?
So
No.
it's a small screen you put in your pocket. I mean, this is Microsoft talking, so they think of it as being a PC.
Right.
But apparently you do not make phone calls on it. Touch screens are not part of this vision at all, if I remember correctly.
Is there any AR, VR at all?
No, I don't think so.
So his idea of the metaverse is still at arm's length.
Yeah, and to be fair, they're trying to do stuff that's out there, but not incredibly out there. I think he was trying to kind of pretty much figure out what the next things would be. And I thought of this, again, coming back to Mark Zuckerberg. He's somebody who now is making these pretty elaborate videos showing life in the metaverse.
That's right.
Which are really, in a lot of ways, reminiscent to this. And I think the lesson is, if you're really smart, you might get some of the broad picture right, but that doesn't mean you can predict the little details. And B, when the stuff did come along, again, kind of a little bit more like 2007, 2008, moving forward rather than 2005, the fact that Bill Gates was pretty good at anticipating what would happen did not mean that Microsoft dominated all the stuff that came.
Very good point.
Instead, Microsoft released a lot of things that weren't terribly successful. They did not dominate smartphones. They had a video on demand platform.
What?
Harry, I just did the math. When this video happened, Gates was 39. Today, Mark Zuckerberg is 38.
Uh-huh. That's probably makes sense. That's when you kind of are at your peak mastery of the universe.
And probably when you start to worry about the future. Maybe running away from you and somebody else determining that. So so the fact that Microsoft, even though it was quite good at predicting the future, was not really able to leverage that, partially because it had this big business in Windows, which defined how it saw the world, I think has some lessons for us when we look at what Meta is saying
as
today.
I said, I think Mark has learned that innovator's dilemma message, and is willing to. That's why I think he's willing to risk Meta in order to achieve this vision. But you make an excellent point. Just because you can see this, we can see it, doesn't mean we're going to be instrumental in the next 10, 20 years.
And Microsoft never bet everything on something else. Instead, it saw everything as being an extension of Windows, which in most cases did not really work out that way.
I think that's one thing you could say. Mark is not saying this, the metaverse was Facebook extended. I mean, he does certainly have a social aspect.
That's part of it. I mean, I think the idea is you will still want to hang out with your friends in the metaverse.
Yeah, the graph that Facebook has of people and how they're connected to other people is very advantageous for a virtual world. And again, I think that's an interesting puzzle where you see Apple not going down that path. They're not trying to build that out. They're trying to augment what you already have.
They're not worried about social at all.
Not yet. Not yet.
Apple's only essays into social were historic flops, right?
Yeah, because they don't think that way. They think so much about privacy and about the individual that I think they have a hard time getting, even when you look at pages and numbers, which I love, by the way, but the interaction between other people, like sharing your pages or Keynote, is a great way to just not have it work anymore. So it's like doesn't work at all.
Apple did. They did Ping. With iTunes, which was
that didn't
flop. Then remember they were early on in dial-up networking. They had a little town,
eWorld.
eWorld, and you'd wander through this town, and
I think the message was interoperable with AIM back in the day too, right? Like that was a big seller for.
So they learned a couple of things. One, never interoperate.
I think lately they've done a better job. I mean, both FaceTime and iMessage are looking like social platforms and have a ton of people using them. Here was
the eWorld interface And it was like AOL. It was a social network, so you would go in and get your email.
That kind of looks like a metaverse, Leo.
If you could only put on a headset and be there.
What year was that again? That was, I'm not sure if that was.
I feel like that was roughly the same time as that Bill Gates keynote. 1996. It was closed in 1996.
So I'm not sure if that was Scully or Spindler or,
it wasn't
or
Steve.
Emilio, but
yeah.
But it was not Steve.
No. Yeah, maybe Apple learned a lesson and said, social's not it. And honestly, I think Apple wouldn't care if you used whatever hardware they made in the metaverse. That's not their business. They go ahead and use it with Facebook's.